I'm Rosie Hardy. This is Rosie Hardy Gardening. Today we're doing a top 5 video on grasses, and these grasses are ones that are short in stature. I mean ones which are quite low, from the meaning of around about 15 to 20 centimetres to ones which are going to be somewhere nearer 45 to 60 centimetres. So let's have a little look at these. We've got a good contrasting foliage colour and everything else. We'll start with the shortest one to start off with, and this one is Festuca, glorca, Elijah blue. Fantastic blue coloration on this grass. It's a really lovely mound forming grass. Very compact, tight inside, and it does mean that as it gets older you'll get dead grass inside the actual plant itself. So when you come to the spring, you will find that this has stayed looking really quite good over the winter, but in the spring there are dead bits inside. Now this is not a grass that you collect together and you cut off right down to ground level. It does not like that. So what you have to do is either go in and pull out the clumps of dead, or a metal dog comb, horse comb, anything like that is really good at just getting in there and getting the grass out. This will make a clump of around about 25 centimetres across by about 15 to 20 centimetres high. It is basically a foliage grass. It does occasionally put up seed heads, but it is mainly grown for the foliage. Fantastic in a sunny, free draining area, really good on alpine areas or in a gravel garden. Good contrast in containers, absolutely fantastic in containers, because they will give you the contrast against, say, your autumn bedding, so against the pansies or the violas, or then when you get to the spring you've got your narcissus and your crocus coming up. They look great with that as well. So a really good little plant, Festuca, glorca, Elijah blue. Then we will go on to this lovely wavy grass. This is Stiper tenuissima. It can also be known under the name of Nasala. The actual individual leaves or blades on this grass are tiny, really thin and narrow, which is what gives us this delicate effect, and it tends to be quite wafting. Sometimes when they are bigger clumps they're a little bit more upright like this. When they're younger they're more open. The beautiful seed heads here just waft in the breeze like this, so they are fantastic. But you do need to remember this is something that self-seeds, so in here there are lots and lots of seeds, and that comes out like that. So that usually drops itself down around the plant itself, but it can go around. But being just a very shallow rooted grass, this one isn't going to be a nuisance. So if you seed the seedlings, hoe them up. If you want them where they are, then leave them to mature. They will mature after about 2 years and they will look fantastic. It's a short-lived grass, so about 4 or 5 years, and it will in the springtime have bits of it which have died, and you just pull those clumps out and then the main grass looks really fantastic. Free draining soil again, full sun, really easy, brilliant plant, and it will container grow as well. So this is Stiper tenuissima. A change of colour in the grasses. There are some beautiful ones like this which have got these amazing bronze orange foliage on them, and this is a particularly good form. This is a very upright growing form, and then at the top of the leaf you get this curliness which gives it a quite different effect. This is Carex buchananii, and Carex buchananii is a clump former. Really super plant, excellent for putting in sort of narrow places. Grasses always look good if you space them out nicely and you can see all the way around them. But this particular one doesn't take up much space, so it is much narrower than it is tall. So the foliage will get to somewhere around about 60 centimetres. It's very dense at the bottom, lovely colouring. And then it will grow and make a slightly bigger clump. I really like this one. It is upright, it stays looking good right the way through the winter, so you get some wonderful frosty effects on this. You also get the cobwebs in there and the frost, so that's one of the beautiful things of this. Again, this is a plant for a sunny area. The Carexes are technically sedges, not grasses, but in the context of the garden, that's not really a problem. They do like a little bit of moisture, but it doesn't have to be absolutely soaking wet, and they will tolerate sun. So they are very, very good again for those sunnier borders, just with a little bit more moisture in the soil. So excellent grass. Staying with that lovely sort of orange tones, this is a grass called Anemonetheli Lessoniana. This used to be in the Stiper family, but it's been moved to the Anemantheles. And if you look at it, as I turn the plant round, you can see there are all sorts of beautiful orange colours, especially at this time of the year. So in the autumn, it goes the most amazing colours. It is a brilliant grass. The actual leaf blades get to about 45 centimetres by something like 60 centimetres wide, and it clumps out and it fountains over, so you get this beautiful effect of it going over like so. Now this does produce seed heads, and those seed heads come out and they just fan down, and it looks like a waterfall of beautiful orange seed coming down over the top of this leaf. It's often known as the pheasant grass, and you can understand why, because of the wonderful colouring that there is on this actual plant. It's a clump former again. Really, really great one. Not too tall, not too big. Yes, it can seed again, but again, it's very easy. You will see where the leaf of the new seedlings is coming up, and you can pull them out, and then it is not a problem for you. Anemonetheli Lessoniana. Lovely plant, and if you really want to and you've got a big container, this looks really good in a container. It will take sun to part shade, so this is the first of the ones which will go into a slightly different area. The first three were for sun mainly. This one will go sun part shade. In the shade it's slightly greener, you don't get quite so much of the orange coloration, but it does still colour up. To the last one, and this we have gone back to a slightly smaller plant, and this is Millium, effusum, Aureum. Now this one is one for shade, so it's a really, really good nearly yellow leafed grass for shady areas. At this time of the year it's a little bit greener. In the spring it's a bright fresh yellow leaf, and it looks fantastic in a shady area. It just looks wonderful, it glows. Growing to around about 30 centimetres high by about 45 centimetres wide. It is a clumper, but it does spread out. You can see here the main part of the plant is to one side, and then it's starting to put its next lot of growth out to the side, so it will become a bigger clump as it gets going. Again, this will come from seed, but it's not too much of a nuisance. This is a true herbaceous type of grass, so that means when you get to the winter time, it is going to die and go below ground level and reappear from ground level, which is quite an interesting thing. So this one is for shade, and it's really good. So this one is herbaceous. These are all semi-evergreen. You don't cut down the Festuca, you do not cut down the Carex, you can cut down the Anemanthele, and the Festuca, well, it's short-lived, so there's no need to cut it down, you just tidy it up. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and please do subscribe to the channel.